The duality of positivity and negativity is keeping you stuck. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mind Engineer community. Here, Tony Walker. I want to share some insight and tools to help you start moving in your life in different aspects. And why is it that you might be struggling? So, welcome back again. If you're watching live, if you can type hashtag live. If you're watching replay, hashtag replay. I would love to hear if you're there watching and listening to this. So let's talk about this duality about positivity and negativity. What I've been sharing for a long time is that we have been taught that positive or negative emotions are like a problem, right? Because if we have positive emotion, it's good. If we have negative emotions, it's bad. But I've been studying the mind for 16 years and I keep studying more and more. Now I finished reading the book from Brené Brown. I've studied many other people out there. Now I'm reading a book about emotional intelligence. So I keep adding more stuff to the things that I've done. And the more I keep reading, the more I keep learning from people that have really studied these things and have applied them, not just studied them and just repeating what others are saying. They're realizing that we need to deal with our negative emotions, with our negative stuff, because one of the most important things in emotional intelligence is to be able to accept the emotions, all of them, the positives or the negatives, because behind the negative emotions, as we so-called negative emotions or bad emotions, as the ego tries to put there, there's a big teaching lesson that we can take advantage of to be able to start making changes. So look at this. If you're struggling with procrastination, if you're struggling with self-sabotage, if you're struggling with perfectionism, people pleasing, analysis paralysis, anxiety attacks, whatever, in whatever area you look into your life that you might be struggling, if you're not dealing with your emotions, unfortunately, you're going to keep getting stuck. And why do I say this? Because it has been proven through neuroscience throughout many, many years now that our emotions are going to run your behaviors. So how many times have you reacted or behaved in ways that you wanted to change, but you keep falling back to that same behavior over and over again without being able to change it? And that has to do with your emotions are running the show. So that's why so many people are stuck in these patterns over and over again, because they're not dealing with their emotions. They have been taught to use positivity, to use visualization, to use other techniques to try to make changes in their life, and they keep struggling. But as they've heard this from so many people out there, they keep trying over and over again the same things, although they're getting the same results. And I was there, you think that you're doing something wrong. So you keep practicing, you try harder, you try more, right? And it doesn't work. So if this has happened to you in the past, put a yes in the chat. If you have found yourself trying different things, positivity, affirmations, visualization, things like that, and not being able to see changes in some areas of your life. So again, if we start understanding and accepting that emotions are going to rule your life, are going to run your life, what does that mean is that we need to deal with our emotions. So emotions are not good or bad. That's the duality that the ego falls into. As I always say, I believe we're spiritual beings living a human experience. We're made in God's image. Whatever religion, I speak about spirituality, right? Doesn't matter. We are spiritual beings. As we're spiritual beings from spirit, we need to connect with loving and accepting what is. So when something negative happens to us, it's an opportunity to say, okay, what can I learn from this? So again, the duality of positivity or negativity. If we think about this, there's nothing bad happening in our life. Life is just bringing people and circumstances to help us become who we are meant to be. If we're not becoming the Buddha, if we're not becoming the Christ, if we're not becoming the anointed one, the enlightened, it just means that there's still work to do. And I believe that we all have a lot of work to do in getting closer to that. But how did it start? Realizing when we're coming from ego and when we're coming from spirit. From ego, we fall into duality. Duality is going to keep us stuck because duality is not the truth behind the creation. There's no duality. They're just emotions. They're just things happening to us. And I'm not saying it's easy. I send love to the people that are struggling in their life in different areas, people that might be sick, people that might be living in the streets. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's easy at all. Don't take this wrong, please. But the truth is, everything is happening for a reason to help us evolve in life. So there's no good or bad. Whatever it is that is happening to us and it's bothering us, it's an opportunity to remember applying RSR, rapid subconscious reprogramming, and how am I feeling with this situation, right? If I feel fear, if I feel shame, if I feel regret, if I feel anger, why am I feeling this? Once you identify the emotions, now you can go into the next question. The problem is most people, and I see this over the last 16 years, work with thousands of people around the world. I keep seeing people denying their emotions, running away from their emotions, bypassing their emotions. And that normally we call it cognitive bypass. Cognitive bypass is when you use the rational side to try to feel, connect with their emotions, but you're using the intelligence. And that is not going to work because you need to really tap into the emotions. The problem is, as I always say, since childhood, we have been taught that negative emotions are bad. Don't cry. Don't be a whiner. Don't be scared. Don't be this. Don't be that. Don't be grumpy. Don't be angry. So each time we felt an emotion, a negative emotion, sorry, and we expressed it, we were rejected. So how do you think is a little kid going to feel if they're rejected by their parents, by siblings, by kids at school? They're going to feel really bad. So the mind is going to say, how can I avoid feeling like this again? What I'm going to do is not feel these emotions anymore. So from a very young age, we have learned how to disconnect from our emotions. Disconnect. So a lot of people feel disconnected with themselves, feel disconnected with others. And again, type a 1 in the chat if this has happened to you, if you feel sometimes disconnected with people, with friends, with family, with a loved one, right? If you feel disconnect on the outside, that normally is representing some type of disconnect from the inner world. So one of the ways to disconnect is by invalidating our emotions. So again, we have been programmed in many areas of our life in a very bad way. The only way to be able to realize which are the programs that are not working anymore and how to start updating them is by going into those negatives. Okay, I feel bad about this. Okay, bad is not so much an emotion. What emotion is that I'm feeling when I need to do this or that? Oh, I'm feeling regret. I'm feeling sadness. I'm feeling scared. Remember, outside of the comfort zone, the first zone that you're going to hit outside of the comfort zone is the fear zone, guys. Outside the comfort zone, we have the fear zone. But if we have been trained not to face fear because fear is bad, fear is a threat, you're going to go back to your comfort zone and you're not going to be able to move because that's what you've been taught and that's what the mind is protecting you from. Each time you felt scared and your parents denied it, rejected, and it brought you a lot of pain, you've learned how to move away from the fear. And if outside of the comfort zone, there's a fear zone, there are big chances that you're going to run away from the fear because that's what you have been taught. You have been taught to move away from fear. So again, fear is seen as a negative emotion, as a bad emotion. But actually, fear is a good advisor. But the problem is if you put it to drive your life. It's a good advisor, but a bad driver. So the first thing that I want to invite you to start doing is to validate your emotions. Okay, a part of me, listen to the construct that I'm using here. This is very important. A part of me is feeling scared. So we validate it. That part of me has valid reasons to be feeling scared. I don't know why right now, but it has valid reasons. Okay, why is it feeling scared? Next step. I don't know. That's okay if you don't know. But let's start asking questions. Okay, imagine that you are scared of asking for a raise at your work, or asking somebody out, or asking for your partner what you're needing, or launching your business, whatever that is. Okay, so I'm not taking actions. I'm falling into procrastination, analysis, paralysis, perfectionism, whatever. I'm not doing what I need to do. Okay, how am I feeling? Scared. Scared of what? Okay, imagine the example of my boss, right? I'm not asking for a raise. How does that situation make me feel? I don't know. Most people is like, oh, I don't know. Okay, so let's imagine the worst case scenario. Imagine you ask for a raise to your boss and your boss says no. How would that make you feel? Oh, that would make me feel really uncomfortable. It's going to make me feel sad. It's going to make me feel angry. It's going to feel, regret that I'm putting so much work in and, I don't get recognized. There you go. I'm not going to feel recognized. How would that make me feel about myself? Not seen, not valued, not recognized, not validated. So now suddenly we found the mental constructs, the programs, the beliefs that are running in the back of your head that the mind is trying to protect you from. So look at this. Many people might feel scared or not taking actions toward asking a raise or whatever other area in their life. They're not taking action because at the end, the mind doesn't want to confirm the beliefs it has on the first place. So if a person feels not valued, not good enough, doesn't feel validated, doesn't feel recognized, right? They're going to be scared of asking for a raise because if their boss doesn't give it to them, they're going to feel that they are not good enough. So they would rather not take the risk than to confirm, quote unquote, the belief that they're not good enough. So emotions are showing you your belief system. And if you don't start questioning your belief system, if you don't start working on changing that, unfortunately, you're going to stay stuck in whatever area of your life, because I imagine that you have tried kicking yourself in the butt, being hard on yourself, telling yourself that you got to get over this, you got to get it, take actions or whatever, and you're not being able to do it. So if you're not being able to do it, you're managing it the wrong way. When we beat ourselves up, when we reject ourselves even more for doing what we're doing that actually is protecting us, you're creating more pain. More pain is going to create more of the behavior that you're looking to change. It's going to create more of the behavior that you're looking to change. So if you really want to make a change, the idea I want to invite you to start working on first recognizing if you have this duality in your mind between good or bad, positive or negative, right? As in the emotional side or things that are happening to you in your life. Two, becoming responsible that you are the co-creator in your life with God, universe, whatever you want to call it. You are the co-creator. Nobody else has that power over you. You might be giving it away, and we're going to talk more about that in a future presentation. But today I want to talk about this duality that is missing the opportunity to go into the subconscious mind to find the limiting negative and false beliefs that you might have learned during childhood that might got printed, ingrained in your mind, and are now keeping you stuck in different areas of your life. So how do we start working on this? Validating that it's okay to have negative emotions, that there's nothing wrong with that. Don't deny that part of you, because when you deny that part of you, you create more pain. More pain is going to create more of the behavior that you're trying to get rid of. Yes? So love and accept and validate those emotions. Next, why do I feel these emotions? How do I feel? Why do I feel this? And how does this make me feel about myself? This is a starting point, guys. This is very important to understand, because I tell this to people and sometimes they forget and they start feeling frustrated because, it's like, wait, tell me I did those 3 questions, I didn't get an answer. I got till to here and I cannot go deeper. I don't know how to continue. That is fine. That is normal that happens to a lot of people, that they suddenly get stuck with these questions. Why? Because as you are in your own structures, in your own comfort zone, it is many times very difficult to be able to see your own limiting negative and false beliefs. For you, they're the truth. And the mind is very scared of confirming the truth. So going into your mind by yourself sometimes might not be easy, because the mind is scared of confirming those beliefs. And then the idea is to ask more questions, but many times the mind shuts down and says, oh, I don't know what else to ask. It doesn't really mean that you don't know what else to ask. It just means that the mind is trying to protect you because it's protecting you from pain. So if you want to know more about this, if this is resonating with you and you want to go deeper, write the word free down here, and I'll share a free training with more tools to help you start doing this by yourself. And if by any chance you want somebody to guide you through your maze, through your mind, to be able to go into the subconscious mind to help you start making changes, reach out, because I have been doing this for 16 years. That's why I call myself the mind engineer. I have helped thousands of people be able to go into the subconscious mind to identify their limiting negative and false beliefs and start changing them, reprogramming them. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know in the comments what